Experimental Flue is still in active development, so APIs may change. If you're looking for the older v0.0x version, check the repository for that tag. Flue is described as the agent harness framework. It's a TypeScript framework for building autonomous agents, and the entire experience feels like using Claude code, but it's 100% headless and programmable, with no command line interface or graphical user interface, only TypeScript code. Unlike other AI SDKs, Flue is a runtime agnostic framework, similar to Astro or Next.js but for agents. You write your agent once, then you can run and deploy it in Node.js, Cloudflare, GitHub Actions, GitLab CI/CD, and more. The core of a Flue project is split into packages. The main ones are the SDK, which provides the build system, session handling, and tool integration, and the CLI, which lets you build and run agents from the terminal. Quick start: the simplest agent. A Hello World agent in Flue looks like this. 1. It's initiated by an HTTP trigger. You send a POST request, and the agent handles it too. When the agent starts, it creates a new runtime that is automatically provided with a sandbox. By default, it uses a lightweight just bash sandbox that runs faster and cheaper than a full container. 3. The agent then opens a session and sends a prompt to a large language model, asking it to translate some text into a requested language. 4. The result is typed and validated with a schema that expects a translation string and a confidence level, which can be low, medium, or high. The code skeleton is: import the Flue context type and a validation library. Specify that the agent is triggered via webhook. In the handler, initialize the agent with the chosen model, then open a session, prompt the model and return the validated result. Support agent using Cloudflare. A support agent can use a virtual sandbox and a Cloudflare RTA bucket as its file system. The RTA bucket holds a knowledge base and skill definitions. The agent can use built-in Unix tools like grep, glob, and read to search that knowledge base. Because the agent runs on Cloudflare, its message history and session state are automatically persisted, letting users revisit sessions days or years later. Issue triage agent in CI. An isutriage agent can run in continuous integration environments. It mounts the host file system at workspace, giving the agent access to the source tree. The agent can call privileged CLI tools such as GitHub's CLI, GH, and NPM without exposing secrets. The secrets are provided inside the command definition, keeping them out of the agent's context. The agent uses a prompt that tells it to research an issue and produce a severity assessment, reproducibility flag, a summary, and whether a fix has been applied. All of this is typed and validated with a schema. Remote coding agent with a real Linux container. For a full coding agent that needs a real Linux environment with tools like Git, Node.js, and a browser, Flue can spin up a container via Daytona. Daytona is a declarative image builder that lets you define the environment in code. After the image is built once, subsequent sessions start instantly because the image is cached. The coding agent has 2 stages. 1. The first agent clones the target repository, installs dependencies, and initiates a second agent in the same sandbox to work on the project files. 2. It then accepts prompts from the user and streams back progress and results directly. Remote MCP tools. If you need to connect to a remote machine-controlled platform, MCP server, Flue can do so. The Connect MCP server helper fetches the server's tools and passes them to the agent during initialization. The agent then uses those tools and its prompts, and the connection is closed afterward. How agents and sessions work. Every time an agent is called, it runs inside an initialized runtime. For HTTP agents, the agent ID is derived from the URL segment that follows agents. Calling agent session opens the default conversation thread for that agent ID. Reusing the same ID keeps the same conversation history. A new ID starts a fresh conversation. Sessions store message history and any metadata. On Cloudflare, the data lives in durable objects. On Node.js, it's in memory unless you supply a custom store. You can start, continue, or start new conversations using simple curl commands. For example, create or continue a conversation with session ABC. Start a new conversation with a different ID like sessions is. Agents own the sandbox state, meaning any files written during a run persist within that sandbox. If you need to make the sandbox or the runtime durable beyond a single invocation, generate a stable agent ID that represents the sandbox scope. Tasks. Inside an agent, you can launch a task, a focused, and a child agent that runs in a detached session. Tasks share the same sandbox and file system but have their own message history. When you call a task, you can pass a working directory, a role such as researcher, or any arguments needed for the prompt. The result can be typed with a schema. In the example, a task named Research the Flow runs in Workspace project with a researcher role. The main agent then prompts the model to use that research to draft an implementation plan. Roles can be set at the agent level, session level, or per call. The most specific level overrides the others. These role instructions are injected as system prompts for the duration of the call and do not affect the persisted user messages. Provider settings. When you need provider-specific runtime settings, such as using an enterprise API gateway, a custom endpoint, or gateway-specific credentials, you pass a provider's object in the init call. This object is scoped to the agent and applies to every model it resolves. For example, you can configure Anthropic with a custom base URL, headers, and a dummy API key when the proxy requires a synthetic key. Custom virtual sandboxes. If you need more control over the built-in virtual sandbox, you can supply a factory function that returns a new bash-like runtime each time. The factory can share a file system object to persist files across sessions. This allows you to run anything that just bash can run, but with your own configuration. Connectors. Connectors adapt third-party services into Flue. They are not NPM packages but markdown installation instructions that live on the Flue website. By running commands like flue add Daytona, Claude, the CLI fetches the connector's markdown, shows a short copyable recipe, and writes a TypeScript adapter into your project. When an agent runs, it reads that adapter to configure the connector. Running agents. Local development. Flue Dev. Running Flue Dev launches a long-running watch mode server. It rebuilds and reloads whenever you change agent code. The default target is Node.js, but you can also target Cloudflare workers. The server listens on port 3583 by default, which you can override with port. You can pass environment variables from a env file using env trigger from the CLI. Flue Run. Flue Run builds the agent into a deployable artifact and runs it once. This is useful for CI pipelines or single-shit scripts. For example, you can run a hello agent targeting Node with a payload that includes a text string and a language code. Trigger from an HTTP endpoint. Flue Build. Flue Build outputs a server bundle that you can host on any Node.js server or Cloudflare workers. The build command accepts the same targets as Flue Dev. After building, you deploy the resulting files with your preferred platform deploy command. With Flue, you can iterate on agents quickly, run them locally or in the cloud, and compose complex workflows, all while keeping the agent's code simple, TypeScript-based, and free of a GUI or CLI that forces a particular workflow.